We're backstage at 93.3 WMMR, and it's the MMRBQ. We have two of our special guests here who will be on just a bit later. Also with me, Pierre Robert, is Matt Cord. Introduce our guests, if you would, Matthew.
We have Sean Kinney and Jerry Cantrell.
And that's me.
From Alice in Chains.
Pleasure to have you guys back here.
So that's us.
The album is due, I think, on the 28th. The Devil Put Dinosaurs here.
10 days.
Yeah, we've been playing a couple of the songs, Hollow and Stone. And so for fans who love AIC, and it's probably a difficult thing from a musician's perspective, but can you give us a little verbal description of the audio that's coming when we get the full record?
There's 10 other totally new songs on that record that you've never heard before. Yep. Besides the two that you've heard.
That's always a tough one. We're like supposed to break it down and jerk ourselves off about songs. And like, oh, that fifth track is just a groundbreaker. Rock will never be the same because of the noise that we made. The truth is, it's a bunch of new songs that we dig, and it's just we do it the same way we just did. We make songs that we like, and then we've been real fortunate that anybody else cared at all. And then,
well, I heard you came in with just 3 songs completed. Is that correct?
No, we
had a bunch of ideas.
Okay,
you know?
we knew what we were going to do when we went this. By the time we went in to record it, it's very expensive to go in there and tool around, and you know, it's kind of a
build it from
what
the
you
ground
do
up.
is you collect ideas for about for however long it takes. Usually a lot of that stuff happens when we're out touring, so we got a lot of ideas when we were on the road. Sean and I warming up in a room together, or sound checks, or just working at home on breaks, and you collect all that stuff, and then when you start going like, hey, what are you doing, man? I'm kind of bored. Maybe we should go to work.
Well,
then you start getting all that stuff together. And
didn't Stone?
You got enough stuff, you go in and you make a record.
We wrote a new record right in the dressing room before we came out here because we're on tour. We just can't release it yet because this one's not out.
Yeah.
But didn't the song Stone kind of come to you in an unusual way, and you were able to?
I did. I was not able to play guitar. I was in a sling, and I just kind of was hearing a riff, so I kind of hummed it into the phone. But that's kind of an example of what I was just saying before. However the idea comes to you, you get it down, and then down the road you've got about 40 or 50 of those little ideas, and when you feel like it's time to, kind of like you're motivated to work, then you start weeding through all that stuff and passing them around and see what everybody likes. Yeah.
Yeah. If it turns into something and everybody's excited about it, cool. Some of them get like 2/3 of the way there, and you're like, yeah, and you just
not so good.
And it's not even that it's not good. It's just it never gets completed.
Who makes that decision?
And something
the song does. It never got completed. We're like, it's not done.
Yeah.
And we haven't got it to where we're digging it. I mean, we dig these things, but we just aren't getting there. And then a lot of the time, the unfortunate fact is, a lot of that stuff kind of just dies on the vine because by the time we'll get to start making new tunes again and going through that process, we rarely look back too much. Like, oh, remember 5 years ago that one? I mean, we don't mind the past as much as we probably should, But as long if you're excited about new stuff. So
Your last record, Black Gives Way to Blue, you had Elton John on that record.
We did. Thanie's for telling us.
No, that was one of my favorite songs on the record. Did you get any special guests on this one?
No, I don't think so. I think we might have had a slide.
Bieber.
We had a slide player from Nashville, a buddy of Nick's, do a little slide piece on one song.
And how do you say Nick's last name again?
Rascalinich.
I forgot that.
Rascalinich.
We were talking about Sound City. Did you guys? And I asked you about the Neve console, but did you ever record at Sound City? Did you guys ever?
No.
Not on that particular board, no.
But never in Sound City either.
No.
Never in Sound City.
That was one of my follow-up questions that I didn't do the other night.
No.
Well, thank God you got a second chance. Oh, you got a Mother Love Bone shirt on.
There you go. Yeah.
Wow.
He got that for me too.
I got that when I went to Seattle. That's true.
That's great.
That is a cool shirt. We're speaking with Alice in Chains, Matt Cord, and Pierre Robert. Now, there's a very funny, cool little 10-minute video that's on Funny or Die. Jason, come on over here, my producer. He turned me on to this, and it's a fake documentary about a guy who's going to film you, and he finds 4 musicians, and apparently they don't like Alice in Chains or are not fond of that music.
Or don't even know who they are.
Yeah, right.
But I love just how you guys are sort of self-deprecating and make fun of yourselves, and the documentary is perfect for that. Sean, you're like the hipster guy that is a fan of irony. And then Jerry, you play the country star who thinks that Alice in Chains ripped off his song "Man in the Box."
Hell, they've been ripping me off for years.
It's a great video. And then at the end, what's the heavy metal guy?
Duff McKagan at the end of the video, where there's some musicians playing themselves, saying how much they like you guys. Duff goes, "Yeah, well, Alice Cooper, he invented himself in 1969 in Detroit, and blah blah blah, and he's great." And then the guy goes, "We're talking about Alice in Chains."
Talking about who?
Alice.
Yeah, I'm talking about who?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, those are fun to do because we kind of have a history doing that. And then when those EPK things, were a brand shiny new idea, jerk yourselves off and tell everybody how awesomely heavy and groundbreakingly new yet old, like the old stuff. And, you're supposed to talk about your songs in this weird way and kind of be a salesman for yourself. And we're not going to do that. So early on, the first time that kind of came to us, we were like, oh, totally. Told the record company, sure, totally going to do that. We got it. So we sent a crew up to Seattle and just made this Nona Tapes thing, and they were really mad.
Yeah, they didn't like that.
They cost a bunch of money, and we just gave it to them and said, hey, there you go. And they're like, what is this? This is ridiculous. What did you do? And then it kind of became a little cult thing through the industry, sort of, because they didn't know what to do with it. It kind of got passed around probably through the Sony building and stuff, and people were like, this is crazy. And then they ended up contacting us, like, we should sell it. We're like, nah, not really. But so it's a cool way of doing stuff. What else can you say? Every band, you talk to every band, right? And they're like, it's a departure yet familiar. It's heavy, yet it's real revealing.
I really got inside myself on this one.
The dark.
I really got inside Jerry on this one.
Yeah.
Like,
How much filming?
Like
how long did it
about
take?
7 inches inside Jerry on this
That's
one. Hey, is this,
six
is
and a
this
half.
on?
Six
Well,
and a half.
Jerry, you're
Don't fucking-
part
11
in
inches.
in the documentary. You
It's 6.5.
You get a little
Don't-
friendly
don't
with
even-
that pony,
don't try to
like
say
sharing
that.
meals with that pony, the cake and the,
Well, hey,
the
man,
apple.
we were both hungry, and he was my buddy.
You do.
Anyway, you can see it on funnyordie.com.
Yeah.
It's a great video. Highly recommend it.
I didn't get, when you guys were in on Thursday, we didn't get to talk to William that much because we didn't give him a mic and he didn't have headsets. But how proud are you guys of William Duvall? I remember when you guys first started, Mike said it, told him it's one song at a time, it's one gig at a time.
Yeah.
And now here we are 7-8 years later and he's just.
Yeah, he's the real deal, man.
He's earned the right to be here. He's done the work. He cares about he cares about the band and about us, and we care about him. And we decided to do something. We tried it out to see if it felt right, and it did. So we continued, and here we are. I mean, that's, we started jamming together in 2005, 2006.
Yeah.
So it's been rolling for a while, and it's the whole thing for us. The great thing about having William in the band is we're all pretty much the same. We're the same kind of nut with a little bit of variety of musicians. You know what I mean? So
Well, you all seem like you get
I'm a
along.
cashew.
I'm a Brazil nut.
But you said that the way you work with William is very similar to the way you worked with Lane, and each of those singers were able to inspire you in a different way and give back and forth energy.
Yeah, that quote kind of got a little taken out of context.
Okay.
I mean, they're two different guys. I mean, we work together in a similar fashion. The way that this band works, it's always been a kind of a two-vocal band. So in that way, absolutely, it takes both of us to carry it. When we started out, Lane was, probably one of the most, influential, I would say, and important vocalists, and my favorite. He's my favorite vocalist of all time. So, he was very unique, and I kind of came along. I was a backup singer, and he gave me confidence to kind of grow more as a vocalist. So I kind of did that more and more as every record went by, and I always kind of thank him for that. That kind of confidence and that kind of a push. And we've carried that tradition into this era of the band, and Williams helped us do that.
You guys, when we were talking about the Pearl Jam the last time you were in town 2 nights ago, the set list, and Sean, you're like, yeah, Eddie does a set list in 5 minutes, gives it to the guys 5 minutes before they go on stage.
Yep.
Who does yours, and how long do you guys have before you
All
go
of
on
us.
and play with it?
It depends on how long we play. So
It does.
So it
What kind of show?
Well, you're doing a full
what kind
set
of show
tonight.
it is? No.
No.
We play
No?
like 75 minutes.
Okay.
Short
Like,
set tonight.
That's a short set for us. So we'll figure out what we're gonna do probably after we eat. Or,
Okay.
You know, but there's, you know, they're luxury problems. We call them luxury problems to have. You know, we have a lot of tunes that some people have heard. So you know, we could essentially play anything, but we've kind of come to realize that just because a lot of people have heard these songs, a lot of people tonight have never seen us and haven't ever heard them either. So it's like we try to honor that and play a little something from every record. It just really depends on how long we have to play and stuff, you know. So.
The advantage of a festival for a fan is that they can go to one setting and get like a Whitman sampler of all this different kind of music. They might go liking one band, but leave liking two more.
Yeah, and that's the best thing about these things, and that's why we've always been kind of gravitated to ones that are musically pretty diverse too. You know, that's just sort of the era we're from, and kind of how we are as people. So it's kind of nice to get turned on to bands that you wouldn't be exposed to as much, you know.
Yeah. Have you talked to the Cheap Trick guys? Or
Absolutely.
Have you met them before?
They just our dressing room. Before, you know.
Rick came in with an umbrella that had a big
Oh yes, yes. He flashed that in
big
here.
bird on it.
That was awesome.
I took a picture next to him and I flipped off the camera. I was like, wait, if you're going to do that, I'll be right back. And he goes in his dressing room and gets the umbrella and pops it open right as I do this. Now do it again.
There's
awesome.
Every club has, or every town has clubs, and in our town there's a little tiny place on South Street called J.C. Dobbs where everyone from Nirvana to Pearl Jam to Soundgarden to George Thorogood to Green Day have come through. And there was a little 500-person club in Seattle called the Crocodile, which had opened and ran for a long time, closed in 07, but reopened in 09. And am I correct, Sean, that you're one of the owners or the owner?
I am, yes, one of the owners.
Okay. What's it like to be a club owner? Having probably played in more...
I've dabbled in it before, but I just wanted to keep that.
It's really a place, you know, he did it so he could pick up chicks and kind of move some nose candy.
Yeah,
and buy some drinks.
I'm laundering money through it because it's such a lucrative business, the music business. Especially in those big 600-seaters. It's just, the money's crazy. No, you know,
when he goes down to the club, he gets in character, and he's Dr. Love.
Yeah, man. Why are you blowing my cover, man? No, it's cool. You know, I just wanted to keep an important part of Seattle's history and help bands have it's a good place to play.
It is a good place to play.
It's got good
Way better
sound,
than
good
a
lights, good get your gear on and off, and actual dressing rooms. I mean,
An actual comfortable place.
You know, and
to
there's a restaurant too. You know, so we feed the people. It's a really good place to play, and that's where most bands live, in that size of rooms. They drive around and they get in a van, and they hope they can get enough money and sell enough T-shirts and a CD at that gig to get from there to Portland. You know, in their van, and that's the truth of it. So I try to make it nice and because we've done that. You know, we did that too. So I try to make it.
Who books
Well,
the
I
show?
played it recently. It was fun.
Oh, really?
I've honestly, I was in there more while we were rebuilding it and setting it up than I've been there since it's been open. I've only been there like 3 times since it's been open. I don't go and like hang out on the bar stool and
Check me out.
lord around the joint. It's like, hey, remember the '90s? You know, I'm not that dude, man. So, but it's a great place. You know, it is.
There's Rick right behind you.
I think we spent too much money on the bathroom for sure.
There's Rick Nielsen
We're
right
talking-
behind
Hey,
you.
we got a photo bomber going on here.
Is there such thing as a radio bomb?
What is Rick Nielsen doing in the background of the Alice in Chains interview?
Love these fellows.
I'd like to see Jam. It just came to me.
Is it you want a blackberry? You want a boysenberry? What kind of jam?
No, I want a Cheap Trick Alice in Chains thing.
I would love that.
It would be cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I often talk on the radio about classifications of music because the industry tends to separate things. You know, this is classic rock, or this is hard rock, or this is
I have 2
alternative rock.
classifications: good and bad.
Right.
For all kinds of music, it's like I like it, or it's good, or bad. I don't really care about that.
But I mean, musicians don't know those boundaries. For you, that doesn't exist, again, if it's good or bad. But outside, it sort of does. And so I love it when bands that you wouldn't think would play together, and the Sound City Project was a great example of that. You know, Dave Grohl playing with Rick Nielsen.
Right.
And, you know.
Why wouldn't you if you could?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Who wouldn't,
But
you know?
Dave Grohl played with, you know, Paul McCartney. He always wanted to play.
Tom Petty.
Yeah, and Tom, you know, it goes on and on and on. But would you like to see more of that? I'd love to see a unity tour where 3 or 4 different bands of entirely different generations played on the same bill traveled around, and then did sets together.
We would all like that, and unfortunately, concert promoters probably don't like that because they're not sure if it's going to do the numbers, and they can't.
Are we getting the
guarantee-
right impressions?
Are we giving the right impressions, and how much money can we make? So it's it is a business. So once you get into a certain business part of it, it's not just you. And you don't own these buildings, right? Promoters own these places.
Right.
So
Hey, I think.
piss them off. Apparently,
Do you have LS and MS on your drum kit?
I do.
That's great.
I do. We
Lane Staley, Mike Starr.
Yeah.
They're with us.
there's been 6 people in this band, and that's it. And
Yeah.
We're all up there.
and we're all up there, and we've always been up there. That's why we even decided, that was half the reason that when we started talking about this and people started saying, we did it for a benefit thing, and people were like, oh, would you play? And we weren't, we really talked about that. And it's, what we did together, people have paid attention to and seem to care. And how do you honor that and honor yourself at the same time and move on? It's a horrible, unfortunate fact of life, which happens to everybody staring at us right now. We're all temporary. So how do you deal with it? This is how we're trying to deal with it. And honor ourselves and them.
In terms of I'm always fascinated with the band dynamics of any group because you spend more time with your bandmates than you do often with your family. So, this band comes with such history, but you very much live in the present as you, continue on into the next phase. And how is the dynamic between the 4 of you at this point in time?
It's great. We wouldn't do it. It's always been like family, friends first, and shared common goals and interests. And, the rest of it's just whatever. The rest, it's not worth it. There's no other reason to do it. As long as we're making music that we're all into and that you enjoy each other's company and you have the same kind of goals and have a lot of the same kind of core beliefs, and that's why you do it.
Yeah, it's like a fluid. It's a fluid situation. We've been together for a long time, and we all kind of wear a lot of hats. And sometimes maybe I need to lean on him more. Sometimes he needs to lean on me more, and the other guys too. It's just we work as a unit, and you try not to. You never know unless you try. If we didn't try to do this, we wouldn't. I'd be flipping burgers somewhere, or or worse. You know what I mean? I tried to do it, and he tried, and we got together, and we're continuing to. You never know. It's.
The truth is, we got fired from every job we ever
Yeah.
ever, except for this one.
This is
We had to
true.
invent our own jobs
Yeah.
because we were pretty much unhireable in any other field.
Yeah, it's funny. Like the thing that we did to not have a job actually ended up being your career.
Yeah,
So,
But you work for yourself, and it's great. Bands, like any relationship, are really fragile things, right? So, you need to like each other, and you have to have respect for each other, and as long as you can keep that intact and don't lose sight on things, and luckily nobody's like a over self-entitled rock star kind of thing. We just never really operated that way. So like sometimes that makes problems. You got a guy that my theory is always, if you're gonna play the rock star myth, cliche, play it that way the hour or so you're playing, maybe because they might want you to be that on stage, but when you're backstage shining on people, like, dude, don't talk to him before the show.
Yeah,
don't look at him.
lay it out there.
Don't look at him. He's going to sing a song about a fucking chick. It's like, really? Come on, man. So it gets kind of, we're just, none of that stuff really interests us, So
And how easy is it to like Mike Inez? Is he not like the nicest guy?
I can not like him. Also.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Don't let him fool you. He's an evil bastard.
Really? He's
Once
always so genuine.
I
every
just
time.
described him a moment ago. He's got all these rules, like, don't look at him.
That's
when he goes and plays. I'm not allowed to be in the same dressing room. He's a diva. I'm going to say it. Mike Inez is a rock and roll diva.
So first quoted on MMR. In terms of longevity, our station's been on for 45 years, and there are not many rock and roll stations that have been around that long that are not only alive, but alive and well. And we like to think part of the reason is because we somewhat like you, have a really storied past, and we reflect it in the bands that we've had, but we live very much in the present. We're playing your new album. We play new bands that come along, so you'll hear everything from Led Zeppelin to Green Day on our station. And in terms of longevity when you look in terms of bands, like a band like the Rolling Stones, which have made it, however they did, to 50 and are still sounding great. What's your take on the longevity of anything, be it radio or music?
It's pretty rare. It's pretty rare. I mean, if you look at the statistically, it's a pretty short run, in music, in general. So to be able to stick around, you got to respect it. You got to respect the band like that. I mean, you got to. It's pretty hard to keep it together or to roll with the changes that are inevitably going to come. And we've been really fortunate, and it's not lost on us either. That we're still doing what we like to do, and we've gone through a lot. And I think a big part of that is kind of what Sean was joking about, is like trying to not take yourself too seriously, right, and not look too far in the back or look too far in the future. Just stay where we are right now. This is what we're doing now, and we've kind of kept mostly in the moment, and it's like 25 years later, we're still hanging out together and talking to you guys, and we're going to go get on a stage here with Cheap Trick and Soundgarden. It's pretty cool.
It is.
Yeah. And there's people that showed up to hear all these bands. That's pretty cool, I mean...
Well, you had the line on Thursday night when we were talking about Stones ticket prices. Sean goes, $5 a Shadoobie.
Well, I'm so crazy about the Stones. I flew to London to see the opening night back in the fall of the 5 shows they did. And Mick walks around 3 or 4 songs into it, and he goes, "How's everybody up in the cheap seats doing?" And then he pauses and he goes, "Right, there are no cheap seats." So.
Well, there's only one Stones, right?
That's true. Well, I think, Sean...
Oh, I have another page.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm joking.
We
you
want
don't
to
even have anything. You just doodled some stuff on there like that. What is that, a horse and a sunset? What is that?
He wants to do a documentary like yours. Actually, I have one more. In terms of your audience, who you're seeing at shows, not only festivals where you're seeing a mix of people, but who's coming to see Alice in Chains now when you look out there?
It's just a mix of a lot of people. It's kind of it's taken a generational jump. Like I think when
that's kind of cool, isn't it? When you see young people and they're singing the words.
Yeah, and that's
really
the only
way you last.
Kind of like when we started, it was it seemed like there was a cultural movement kind of going on there was something going on. So most of the people were like, "Hey, bro," they were like our age and they had like a tribal tattoo. And grabbed you and wanted to
smelled really bad.
drink a beer with you, because they were like our age. And the funny part is, as you get older and the thing takes on the life of its own, it goes on, and we start doing this again and kind of like coming out and being public about it again, because we're very private people. How dumb is that? We're in a rock band, but we're very private.
Yeah,
but it's true. And then so you notice like people come up and. It's so different than it used to be. It's like, "Excuse me, Sean, sir, would you mind signing this?"
Excuse me, Mr.
Like,
Kitty.
wow.
Excuse me, Mr. Kitty.
Excuse me, Mr. Cantrell, would you mind? So it's a totally different thing. So it's pretty cool.
It's excellent. All right. Well, Sean Kinney and Jerry Cantrell of Alice in Chains, all the best on the new record, which lands on May 28th. It's called "The Devil Put Dinosaurs Here," and we really, this is your second MMRBQ, by the way. So we welcome you back to that and look forward.
WMMRBQ.
MMRBQ.
We thank you for being here. Thank you for playing it, and hope you mention us on stage. Well, some bands don't, And
all right. I hear where
I got it. Yeah, we got
you
it.
get it? You hear that?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Justice.
Oh, okay then.
Not so subtle hint.
Just a not so subtle hint that
the guy that interviewed you 2 nights in a row.
Thanks a lot,
Okay
guys.
then. No,
Thank
thanks
you
a lot,
guys so much. Have a great day.
Jerry and Sean, everybody.